the big story tonight is the high power of psychedelics. The research is mounting that magic mushrooms and other drugs like MDMA is a reliable treatment for PTSD and depression. Now, Congress is giving the go-ahead for the Defense Department to do psychedelic medical clinical trials to help treat our active duty military and veterans.
I can personally attest to the benefits in treating post-traumatic stress through the use of psychedelic substances. There's a stigma that exists within the body that I believe stems from a lack of education and experience around the clinical use of plant-based or psychedelic medications.
This is not about legalization. This is not about recreational use. It's about honoring our promise to our military families and confronting the high incidence of suicide in the military and veteran community. We have a crisis, and the idea that we wouldn't research potential breakthrough treatments is unacceptable. The status quo is inadequate.
This is just the latest sign that using psychedelics to treat a variety of conditions is becoming more mainstream. From Elon Musk, who earlier this year confessed to microdosing ketamine to manage depression, to Prince Harry, who used psychedelics to deal with grief and trauma from his mother, Princess Diana's death, to NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who touted the benefits to his mental health.
One of the core tenets of your mental health is that self-love. And that's what ayahuasca did for me. A better way to work on my mental health than to have an experience like that.
So a lot of good points made here. Joey Jones, I want to go to you. You know the Luttrells who have served our nation. You served our nation. I think a lot of people on the surface would look at this and say, whoa, 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 this is so different. I don't know that I can accept it. What do you think people should know about this?
Yeah, a lot of people see this and they think, oh, you're trying to get high and trip. You know, it's like doing LSD or something, and it's about some sort of out-of-body experience in a recreational way. And the first thing that, just like Morgan was saying, Marcus is his twin brother, just like he was saying is, listen, this is not recreational. And the other thing here is, you know, if we're going to let you assign Prozac, Zoloft, and all these different synthetic drugs and think that's okay and acceptable, but you don't want to try the medicine that has worked for warriors in this world for thousands of years. So there's a whole array, and each type of psychedelic or MDMA kind of affects your brain differently. There's everything from what's legal in this country if you have a religious exemption like peyote or ayahuasca, to going to another country in South America and doing something like ibogaine, which comes from a tree bark, and it's very, very it's a rough show. But what this does is it allows you to confront suppressed memories. The best way I can explain it to you is I was in an IED blast. I stepped on an IED. The guy beside me died. I think I've healed from it, but it probably is still in the back of my head suppressed. It probably bothers me. What might happen in a hallucinogen is I may have him sit across the table from me for 30 minutes and have a conversation with him while I'm hallucinating with psychedelics. But what's really happening is my mind is being challenged to confront that suppressed memory and work through it. So what he says back to me is what I already have in my mind. I'm not allowing myself to think clearly through it. That is how the treatment is supposed to work. And I can tell you, personally, I know dozens of veterans who have gone through it. And the reason why people are so passionate about it is many veterans will do it once. We're talking one time. And it gets them to such a better place they don't feel the need to go do it again. And it's not recommended to do it over and over again. So you can take a pill bottle, pop a pill every day. Society, VA's fine with it. But God forbid you go somewhere and do a retreat, have somebody do it with you, use nature's medicine, and maybe get through it.
So, Dr. Sapphire, there are a lot of people in the medical community that are suggesting this might work. Is it worthy of testing in the military?
Well, first of all, Joey just did an excellent job of laying that out for people to understand what we are talking about here. And he is right that these psychedelic drugs have been used for decades. In fact, they were used for PTSD, TBI until 1985 when the FDA started putting restrictions on it. Since then, we've had very nominal research on the use of psychedelics. But of the research we do have, it has showed huge promise when it comes to treating PTSD, TBI, as well as stroke and other things. When we're talking about the devastating consequences, specifically in our military, of PTSD, when you look at the standard treatments, SSRIs, as Joey mentioned, psychotherapy, less than 40% actually see a full remission. Yeah. That is not where we want to be at when we're trying to treat our service members. In the limited studies that we do have, psychedelics, they work differently than SSRIs, and they have shown great benefit with over 75% of people seeing a benefit. To Joey's point, this is not about recreational use. This is not about you go and give a pill bottle to these veterans and they're just doing this on their own. They're doing this in controlled situations. They're in collaboration with psychotherapy, and there's huge promise here. One of the big concerns that I have, I'll be honest, there was a study earlier this year that showed from the NIH alone, we waste about 100 million taxpayer dollars on money that goes to research, and it's just wasted on administrative bloat or whatever it will be. So this needs to be heavily regulated because our veterans we have to improve access to quality health care for them, and I don't want to see a penny of this go to waste.
So one of the veterans out there is Representative Crenshaw. He was on Fox and Friends. Let's listen to him and some of the concerns that are out there.
Some of the problems that we've encountered so far getting this through, I think, have been bureaucratic. I think the bureaucracy doesn't want to deal with this because it's edgy, it's difficult, it makes them do work. Okay, so we're going to keep pushing it.
Sarah, what's your take on what he's saying? Because I think it scares a lot of people because they're called psychedelics. They don't know a lot about. They think of the 60s, right?
Yeah, there's been such a negative connotation since the 60s with psychedelics, and people are afraid. They're afraid. They don't want our veterans to become an experiment. They don't want, to see people being experimented on. They want this to be a solid science, right? And I think we know that it does help. My husband's a veteran. He was wounded in Afghanistan. I understand, Joey, what you're saying, because we have friends, too, that have gone through the similar treatment, and it's changed their lives. And there's also a whole array of treatments that are coming out now that utilize these same type of psychedelics, but they're treated differently. They're done in a different setting, more of a medical setting than kind of a medicinal settings. We're not taking people up to the mountains and saying, here's some mushrooms, just go crazy. I mean, there is a method to how this is done. And with all the suicides that we've been seeing, especially the rise in suicides with our veterans, we have to do absolutely everything. That I do believe. And I think Congressman Crenshaw is right. We made a promise to them. They gave everything for us. And we made a promise to them that we would do the same, and we need to do it.
Yeah, I think if it's done in a responsible way and to test it and make sure that we're given the very best treatment, maybe this is the solution.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.